afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. My name is Iberedem Basi, and today we will be continuing in administrative units, but I'll be showing you a feature in administrative units that is very good to make the security posture of the organization much more robust, and it's called the restricted management administrative unit. And let's get right into it. So basically, what is the restricted management administrative unit? I'll take us to the Microsoft Learn portal where we can get to see it. Now, it says that organizations have resources that need strict security, like the CEO's user accounts. Currently, a help desk administrator can potentially gain access to CEO's accounts by resetting its password. And a tenant level group administrator can add users to security groups with financial data access on SharePoint. A restricted management administrative unit allow you to protect specific objects in your tenant from modification by anyone other than a specific set of people that you designate. This allows you to meet security or compliance requirements without having to remove tenant level scope assignments from your admin. Basically, this thing has an advantage in all fronts, in the sense that I assign a particular group of people to a particular unit, restricted management administrative unit, then I give them an admin. So I know that if there is any modification to the data in that particular administrative unit, I know who to hold accountable. I'm not confused. I know that you are the user. I gave a role to assign this to oversee this unit, and you are the only one that can make changes. And there are changes, then you are the one who held responsible. You can add a user, you can add a device, and you can add groups. Now, another thing you need to also understand is that even though I'm a global administrator for this tenant, the moment a user has been added to a restricted management administrative unit, I cannot reset the password. I cannot modify that user. Only the admins that have been given authority in that administrative unit, that restricted management administrative unit, that can enforce changes. So let's go right into it. First, I'm going to reveal to you and note that these changes, this can only be done in the Microsoft Entra ID. You can't do this in the M365 Administrative Center. So if I come down to my M365 Administrative Center, for instance, and I click on where we have our roles, I click on administrative units. I have already provisioned one to make it easier for us to understand. I will show you exactly how I provisioned it, but just know that for the duration of this tutorial, I'll be using what we call the restricted budget for the tutorial. So if I come down to where we have our restricted budget, I want to show you exactly. Now, this is reflected in the Microsoft 365 Administrative Center, but cannot be created here. The only place I can create this is if I come to the Entra ID Administrative Center. And for me to go there, the moment you are able to locate yourself here, you can just scroll down and click on Identity to take you down to the Entra ID Administrative Center. Or you can use the cmd.ms that I have showed in previous videos and search for Entra and to take you to the Entra ID Administrative Center. If I come down here now, and I go to where we have roles and admins, and I go to administrative units. Now, the restricted management role, restricted management ability can be added only when creating it. You can't add it after you have deployed it. For instance, for the AU budget, I cannot come and go to the properties and say I want to make it to be a restricted management administrative unit after it has already been deployed or after it's already been created. That's not possible. For me to have that, I need to come down to where we have an administrative unit and then add a new one. Then while adding it, and then I now toggle this on and then create it. That is the only way you can get to do that. If I do not do it that way, that will not work. So for instance, let's say I want to create restricted audit, and this is for restricted audit members. And I toggle this on. I assign the role, and the role I want to assign, let's say I want to assign the password administrator to somebody. Click on password administrator, search for a user here, maybe David King, and I assign this role to him. The moment I do that, I go next, and then I create. The user members can be added later after it has been deployed. I just created the restricted audit. Now, please understand this, that since I have created the restricted audit and added David King as a member, as an admin of the restricted audit, if he signs into the restricted audit, the only members you'll be able to see and have influence over are members of that audit. That's what you need to understand. Now, I created this restricted budget for the purpose of this tutorial. If I come down to restricted budget and I click on user, we have it on here. If I click on roles and administrator, I had configured somebody to manage this. There are currently 17. This is a developer's tenant. I'll need to work on that. If I come down to where we have the privileged authenticator administrator, and I check who has that role, the person that is actively assigned that role is who we call Abel and Asha. Abel is restricted. Abel has been assigned the restricted budget. His scope is the restricted budget. He's only jurisdiction of influence is this restricted budget. He cannot have an influence over that. So I'm going to sign into Abel's account and then see exactly what changes he can make. But before I sign into that, I'll try to reset the password of Itemabong using my global administrator account and see if it will go through. I come down to users and I come down. I'm trying to reset the password now from my Entra ID administrative center. And I click on Itemabong and I go to where we have reset password. Before I even go to that, you realize that this user is the member of restricted management administrative unit. Management rights are limited to administrators scoped on that admin unit. I click on reset password, and then you say the password cannot be reset. This may be due to an incorrect level of administrative privilege or if trying to reset your own password. So that is it. Take note of that. I come down to the Entity Admin Center and I come down to where we have users, active users, and I go to where we have Itemabong here. This will not give you a warning. It will just try to reset it, but it will not go through. I need to do this so that in case you go and try from the MT Admin Center and believe it to get reset, and I click on reset password, it will not get to be reset. So you need to understand that this is very, very effective in your organization if you intend to maximize the security posture. You say we could not reset the password for this user. No, he didn't give you much explanation there. But when we tried it in Entra, they gave us a reason as to why that was not possible. If I scroll down to, if I come to the user now, and I check this is for Able, and I come to active users for Able. The active users for Able, because he has been scoped to this AU, is just this particular user, Ikemobong Basi. This is the user I have. If I come down here, for instance, and I say, okay, fine, I want more people to be under the influence of Able, I can just scroll down to where we have roles and admins, and I click on administrative unit, and I go to restricted budget, and I'm going to add a member. If I click on users and I click on add member, and I search for somebody else to be a part of that, and I click on Joseph, for instance, and I select it, and it's going to be added, and I refresh it. The moment I come down to my administrative, to the admin center of my administrative to the admin center of Able, and I refresh this, you realize that Joseph will be added here as a user, well, as an active user for him to be able to manage, because he has been added to his scope, to where his influence covers, to his scope of administration. I refresh this, it's taking a bit of time to populate, and Joseph is here. Please take note of that. These are the two people he can actually manage. These are the two people he can actually reset their password. But the global admin of these tenants cannot do anything with these two people because they are assigned, they are scoped to a restricted management administrative unit. If I click on, let's do this from the two ends. Let me try to reset the password from the Entra ID Administrative Center. I come to all users and I'm going to search all users that are reflected is just this, is all every single person. Is this able? Yes. From here is reflecting everybody, but from the entity admin center is reflecting just those two people that he has control over. This is for able, right? Able, yes. This is for able, right? Coming to all users. If I go to this is all users, basically from Entra is a different, but for here coming to just the user, the active users that he has responsibility over. So if I come to Itema Bongbasi, for instance, I try resetting the password from the global administrator, it wasn't going through, and I click on reset password, and then I click on reset password. It should take a while, but automatically it should be reset because he has been scoped to manage this group. If I go to here and I click and I search for, okay, let me try to reset the password of another user. Let's say I want to try and reset the password of Petusu. And then I come here and I click on reset password. Let's see, the password cannot be reset. He cannot reset the password of another user because this particular user is not under his scope of influence. He can't reset it. But if I go back and I say, okay, fine, let's see, let's select for Itemo Bombas. This is someone that is under his scope. He's a restricted management, is under the restricted, but is under his scope of influence. And I click on reset password to tell us that the temporary password will be assigned, and I click on reset. And that has been done. And I can copy the temporary password and effectively sign into the. So basically, it's very important that we understand that this is useful when you're trying to manage your organizational security posture and make sure that there's a particular group of people or a particular user or a particular device that you want access to be restricted, and you want management of that particular user to be assigned to only a particular group of people or a particular person, and so that you can easily audit it and know who made what changes, or audit it and know where a particular breach came from. So I want to say thank you very much for your time, and I believe we'll be seeing in my next video where I'll be talking about another very interesting feature in the Microsoft 365 Administrative Center. Thank you, and have a great day ahead. Bye.